Hello everybody, welcome. My name is John Denton, aka JD the Prophet, aka Johnny Scarface, aka Smash Reyes, all sorts. Welcome to the channel. Right, as promised, from the new JD the Prophet Studios, the conservatory, yes, I'm going to fix this, yes, I'm going to get something there. You might even hear the rain, which is actually quite appropriate. I'm going to do full album reactions. This was the promise, and this is what's going to happen. There's going to be all sorts of stuff on this channel, so please do subscribe. But we're going to do full album reactions once a week on the channel, starting with a record that I haven't heard and I'm excited to hear, which is XXXTentacion's 17. It seemed like a really good place to start. Obviously, X's music has been a huge part of what's happened with me and Simon over on Rock Reacts. If you know me from there, the main channel. If not, make sure you go and check out Rock Reacts, a big old music reaction channel. And yeah, I have heard a couple of tracks off this. I have heard Jocelyn, Flores and Fuck Love Trippy Red, but I've not heard anything else, and I'm very, very excited to go in. Without further ado, let's get started with XXXTentacion. May he rest in peace, controversial character that he was, with his debut album, as they call it, 17. Let's go, with the explanation.
I do not value your money. I value acceptance and loyalty. Here is my pain and thoughts put into words. I put my all into this in hopes that it will help cure or at least numb your depression. I love you. Thank you for listening. Enjoy.
Okay, if you just come to this channel thinking, oh, okay, this guy's heard this track, and you don't know me from Rock Reacts, this was actually the second X track that we did over on Rock Reacts. The first one we did was Sad. So I have heard Jocelyn Flores before. I haven't really heard it since then, but I was kind of blown away by it then, and yeah, it still sounds absolutely beautiful now. Just thinking like that kind of like fragile quality is something in the production, but also his voice is something quite magical to it. I don't know if you guys know a band called Portishead, a group called Portishead basically from the 90s. They're a British group with a female singer. You would have heard their music because their music has been used in so many soundtracks, commercials, like everything you can think of. You would have heard their music probably. Very similar quality to this kind of fragile, like a lot of like scratchy vinyl-y sounds. She has an amazing voice. Like, honestly, one of the best bands ever. Highly recommend going and tracking down some Portishead if you've never heard of them. But it really is a special song. Obviously, I know what it's about now. We learnt what it was about when we did the reaction over on Rock Reacts, but almost more poignant now, sadder now, almost that he is. I mean, you could say he's with her, or however you want to think about the world. Obviously, X isn't here anymore, but just to have this level of kind of poise and understanding of the human condition at that age is something truly amazing, and to be able to actually convey that with this level of musicianship at that age, or any age, quite frankly, is something amazing. So yeah, we'll continue listening to the track. Like I say, I've heard it before, but wow.
Wanna put 10 shots in my brain. I've been tripping about some things can't change. So it's all the same time on tank, but you just ain't beg of a phone call. Girl that you fuck with, kill it so. I'll be feeling pain just
very special song. Very special song. Okay, moving on to Depression and Obsession. I have not heard this before.
Depression and obsession don't mix. I'm poison and my body don't feel.
I almost can't believe this. I almost can't believe this. Right, I don't know if you've heard me talk on Rock Reacts. One of my favourite artists of all time, certainly my favourite solo artist of all time, is a guy called Elliott Smith. The guy actually killed himself in 2003, I think it was. But an amazing singer-songwriter from Portland. And his music which I've recommended to people on the other channel, of people who like Lil Peep and like some other stuff. I've recommended him. His music basically, it sounds almost exactly like this, to the point where I'm sure X must have been listening to Elliott Smith in his life. That kind of like chord progression where it goes from major to minor, the singing which has a kind of 60s vibe to it, but then moves again into the minor chords and has that double vocals, the double layered vocals, the kind of haunting quality to it as well. If you got a kid, and I don't say that to be disparaging, I'm just going to call him a kid for now, who can go from Jocelyn Flores, the other tracks of his that I've heard, from Look at Me, and he's making Elliott Smith. I haven't heard many people sound this much like Elliott Smith ever. I mean, you could. I'm just going to keep listening.
Depression and obsession on a big spot. Hollywood motels, hell, I think I'm just obsessed with you.
Lyrically, it's not quite the same as Elliott Smith. Elliott used more poetic lyrics, less on the nose style of writing, but musically, it's so similar that I have to believe that it's inspired by, in my opinion, probably the best singer-songwriter that ever lived. For me, I'm just kind of blown away right now. This is a beautiful track. It feels a shame to stop it, but got to stop and chat. Yeah, wow.
Depression and obsession on big spot.
That little progression there, that little chord change, is the most Elliott Smith thing ever. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, before we move on to Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares, which is a track I've seen the name of lots of times in the comment section over on Rock Reacts. Yeah, dude, like, if you like that song, I would highly recommend going and tracking down Elliott Smith, either or XO, either of those two albums. Go and listen to a song called Miss Misery by him. That was his Oscar-winning song, where he just, like, the vibe of the man is very similar. It's very different as well to X. It's very much like grungy type of vibe, but there's an essence there. And there's a similar essence in Kurt Cobain, and I'm sure there's a similar essence in artists from before that. Like Kurt Cobain, I was old enough to know who he was when he was still alive towards the very end of his life. Apart from that, I was too young to know other artists from the 80s, and obviously, you know, wasn't even born in the 70s. But there's an essence there, and it couldn't have been more obvious in that track. And that's not to say that he's tried to do an Elliott Smith song. He may have never even heard Elliott Smith. He may have never even heard him, and that's just the type of music that his soul wanted to put out into the world right now. And if that's the case, then wow. But I would highly recommend go and check out the track Miss Misery by Elliott Smith, and let me know in the comments. If anybody does, let me know in the comments. I'm going to do some Elliott Smith stuff on this channel at some point, because I do think that people will love him. I think people will love him because he's amazing, but I also think people who like a lot of the spirit and essence of this music that's coming through now will appreciate a similar thing in him and other artists, even Portishead, other artists that I've talked about, but him in particular. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, I've heard of this track, I've never heard this track, Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares.
Tell the feeling like I'm trapped in my damn mind. Tell the feeling like I'm rapping a damn lie. Tell the feeling like my life is a damn game. Nigga really wanna die in the nighttime.
How the hell do you go from that, from Jocelyn Flores, and from that, an Elliott Smith song, to this, like, beautifully produced hip-hop track, pretty much straight hip-hop track, assuming it doesn't change, 23 seconds in, beautiful flow, interesting, it's still introspective. Like, the world lost something special, man.
These whole spots told us like lit matches. I've been feeling really lost, looking all attachments. I don't really go outside cause I hate traffic. I don't wanna go outside, get caught in traffic. Tell the feeling like I'm trapped in my damn mind. Tell the feeling like I'm rapping a damn lie. Tell the feeling like my life is a damn game. Nigga really wanna die in the nighttime. Tell the feeling like my life is a damn game. Nigga really wanna die in the nighttime. Nigga really wanna die in the nighttime. Nigga really wanna die
stopped it ever so slightly short, but that was, I mean, one of the most powerful 90 seconds of music you could ever hear. Especially when he's repeating the line, you know, about dying at night. Obviously not going to repeat the exact line. Again, like, production amazing, beautiful, raw, melancholy, interesting, but I want to let this music kind of wash over me a little bit rather than try and analyse too much as I listen to it. That was a track that I don't feel like I even got 10% of what it was, and it's only 90 seconds long. That may have been like a phenomenon. It's hard to tell. I loved it, but it's hard to tell how that could be like all-time amazing. I need to listen to it a lot more times. It may just be like brilliant, but it's not going to be less than that. Difference between a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and like an 11 out of 10, I guess. Wow. Three proper tracks in, one of which I'd already heard, and I can't believe how good it is. I got the X thing already. I've heard enough of his music from the older stuff, the rawer, louder, metally influenced stuff, to the newer stuff, the stuff of Question Mark album, a couple of this. I'd heard enough of his stuff to get X, but listening to this album like this, and I'm not even halfway through, and it's such a short piece, but I get it even more now. I mean, I really do, even from the intro. Especially to people of a certain age, a certain rawness, a certain level of angst. Younger people. Like, I remember how I felt when I was 16. Like, there's a reason I got into Korn and other bands like that, which have a similar spirit, again. That's still very much within me, but it softens with age, it just does. It's not quite as raw anymore, and it still can open all that stuff up, of course. But anyway, that was either incredible or masterpiece level. I'll need to listen to it more. I'll need to listen to that track many more times, and trust me, I will be. This album is going to be on rotation. Okay, into Revenge. I've done two pays for us, my dear. Can't pretend life's perfect, leaving you in fear. I keep pausing and then just sitting staring at the camera because I kind of want to let the music breathe a little bit without just talking, but I think like it's like the perfect artist for the type of music that I like. A metal influenced, skilled, slick rapper that likes melodic, acoustic, haunting, depression, like soft rock music. I don't know what you call that genre. It's the Jeff Buckley's, the Elliott Smiths, the whoever else. There's so many artists that have fit into that genre at different levels. I mean, his musical taste, his musical influences, it's the same as mine. So there's no real wonder that I think he's amazing. There's no real wonder that so many other people do too, because when you get somebody as raw a spirit as that can touch people and, metaphysically touch people's hearts. I see, Rock Reacts is a big channel, right? We get a lot of comments. And I saw, the outpouring of emotion when X passed under our comments, under our videos. That was real, and that's something that I felt myself, not from X, because I didn't know his music enough, and I wouldn't want to be, I found it incredibly sad. And a real tragedy, obviously, the age, just generally anybody that happening to, but also the age and the amount of people that he affected, positively and negatively, but I'm talking about the positive sides here. But I felt that feeling because I remember when I was working in Virgin Megastore in Southampton, where I used to live, and they played on the fucking in-store radio that Elliott Smith, my fucking, not my hero, but like my musical, like, go-to, the guy that I was playing to get through my periods, my rough periods, and still do. They announced on the radio there, the fucking in-store radio, that he had killed himself, and then they played his music throughout the day. And this wasn't an artist that got played in fucking Virgin Megastore, like in record stores. You know what I mean? He wasn't in radio play. He wasn't that type of artist. So to hear his music in a public setting was really weird anyway. And to hear it under those circumstances while trying to get on with my job, and nobody else who I worked with knew who he was. I remember that feeling, and that feeling's never left me. You know, I had to go and find a little corner at one point to cry in. So I felt that feeling. I wouldn't want to pretend I knew exactly how people felt, but I felt it. Do you know what I mean? I knew. So yeah, I mean, what am I even talking about? Like, we lost a phenomenal talent. I'm being blown away by this record. I love the fact that at 36 years old, that I'm still as passionate about music as I was, because I do think that people, as you're watching this, you'll get older, and it will happen to a lot of people that you know. People lose touch with what's happening in music. These new artists, they get stuck with the artists that they like. They get very, very fucking busy with life, all that sort of stuff. Maybe they didn't love music that much in the first place. And I always try to make a conscious effort after slipping for a little while, and then suddenly some artists come in and I didn't know who they were, even like pop artists. I then made a conscious effort to really try and understand what was coming through, and now we have obviously a big channel, this channel on top of it, where people are telling us every single day who we need to be hearing, and that will probably be the rest of my life, which is fan-fucking-tastic, because I love the fact that I am now, you know, here at the cutting edge of music. Well, obviously he was a massive star and #1 Billboard and stuff, so I'm not trying to say I found some underground musician, but at the same time, most people in my country that are my age don't know who he is, and won't have ever heard any of his music, so I'm just thankful that I've been able to hear his music. I'm thankful that I'm still listening and finding artists, I was going to say new artists, but you know, artists where I can come in and get made to feel like this, right? Because that's, music can make you feel a million things, up, down, energetic, disquieted. This is all over the place emotionally, all over the place. It's special music, and I'm just very, very, very thankful that I've been able to hear it. I'm very thankful to be able to making this video. I'm hopeful that people will enjoy me hearing this for the first time, and be able to share that and maybe remember the first time they heard it. That's why I've really started to enjoy this genre of videos, and hopefully people can get that, and I'm sure that's where many people watch these videos. Anyway, feels like I've been talking about 2.5 straight hours, so let's get back to the music. Okay, on to Save Me. Something tells me it's not going to be a light, bubbly pop song.
Hello, from the dark side in. Does anybody here want to be my friend?
I was going to say this sounds very proggy, very Pink Floyd-y influence, and then obviously the Hello and then the Dark Side reference obviously becomes a very deliberate reference again.
Want it all to end. Tell me when the fuck is it all gonna end? What's in my head? Before I fall.
Is that drum? I thought it was a drum machine first, and now I'm thinking maybe it's a live drum, but is that drum like deliberately now, it's like slightly late on the beat, and I don't think it was before. It's almost like it's kind of giving it, I don't know if it's deliberate or not, you guys might be able to let me know. It's almost like giving the song a kind of lurching quality, like it's just, it kind of really suits the lyrics and what the song's about. If that is true, like it's, yeah, almost lurching, almost like you're trying to grab and it's just getting that little bit further away. If so, that's a genius bit of production. If not, it still has that quality. So either way.
So save me before I fall.
Yeah, not my favourite track so far on the album, but still a very, very strong track. Maybe a grower. Okay, moving on to Dead Inside interlude. This is weird. It sounds like it could have been recorded on the same mic that I'm using now. It actually sounds worse than that, like a phone, or it even sounds worse than that, like he's been in a different room. But I've said this on other videos, I really love the fact that we're living in a time, there's so many artists that are coming through now, and we're seeing them grow and learn, and become the artists that they're going to be, but we're actually hearing that, we're seeing that progression. Typically back in the day, until recently, and still now it happens, like, you don't hear this. Like, you may be able to track it down and find demos and whatnot, but like, you hear bands from like maybe their major label debut or even an indie label debut, but you know, from a much more polished, smoothed off version is the one that you hear first. And even if you discovered them in the beginning, and if you discover them 3 albums in, then you're like that times 10. But with these guys, they're blowing up through online audiences, and you'll hear it like this. It's like, I mean, when's a track like this on an album? I mean, it's a track that sounds like it's been recorded from down the end of my garden. A haunting quality to the track. Can't understand it. I'm not going to bring up the lyrics. Almost doesn't feel like you're supposed to be able to hear the lyrics on this one, just because it's so muffled. It's kind of a repetitive hook. It's obviously not the most amazing song in the world, but I just love the fact that he and other artists like him were able to just put stuff out there, and I'm such a firm believer in that. I don't think any of the things I'd have ever done in my life and the things that we managed to do this year on YouTube would have happened if we looked for perfection, if we looked to like polish everything before we ever did anything. Look, you know, around that, I think I'm happy about that. Like a reflection in the background, a lamp, a window. Like, my lighting's not right, camera, but I will improve all of that stuff as we go on. These artists are improving and finding out who they are and in public, and I just think that's crucial. That's so crucial. If you've got a creative project in you, whether it's music, whether it's videos, whether it's fucking making video games, whatever it is, I would highly recommend. Personally, to me, you just got to get it out there. You got to get it out there, and it's difficult to do that, man. It's scary shit, but at the same time, if you can just switch to the mindset of doing it. Some people may think differently. Some people may think, you know, you want to push your best stuff out there. Different schools of thought, but I firmly believe in 2018, in this world, in the world we live in the last 5 years with the internet, you just get it all out there, learn in public.
In my life, please make no go switches high. Please don't throw your love away. Please don't throw your love away. Please don't throw your love. Can't find her someone to. I need you in my life, Please make no go switches high.
I like it. I can see why some people wouldn't like Trippie Redd. His voice is an acquired taste, let's put it like that. I don't mind it at all. I listen to many rock bands with lead singers with unusual voices. Ever heard of the Cribs? Fantastic band, but yeah, again, acquired taste in the voice, so I don't have a problem with that, but it just almost feels a little too polished for this record. But it's still a good track, you know, I'm enjoying listening to it.
Bitch, I'm hoping you fucking rest in peace. And if she could, she'd probably dance on my grave inside my head. I see your face, I fucking hate that I love you still.
One, love it. Obviously, X in this sound, in this lane, flawless as far as I'm concerned. Some good lyrics. Some good lyrics in there. Fingers in a stab wounds, very like evocative imagery. Dancing on the gravestones in his mind is like again. I like the transition from the kind of muffled, distorted voice to the clean voice. Almost like, is the distorted voice his internal monologue and the other one is external monologue? Is he hiding certain feelings and only capable of showing certain feelings? He's complex on the inside and he acts a certain way. Like he explodes, maybe bottles up and explode. I don't know. That Elliott Smith song, by the way. Yeah, again, this whole project, guys, is it really is. I'm finding it difficult to put into words because sometimes on a reaction channel, like sometimes, you know, some of the best videos will being stupid, making jokes, or rocking out, or headbanging, walking out of the room because stuff's so great. Obviously, this isn't that, right? This is basically me just probably shutting my eyes a lot, but the reaction is the reaction. The reality is the reality, and this is special, man. This is special music. There's a reason this video is probably twice as long as the fucking album.
This pain inside of my chest, got no choice but to carry on. Carry on like flights, so just carry on.
Okay, second to last track is Orlando. Sounds good already. I'm not surprised. There's not been a bad song on this.
The words that I find just don't seem to convey. Waste of tears, waste of years and months. Face my.
I was almost loath to stop that. You can probably tell, because I think it's probably illegal to stop that track. This is something else. But there's the poppy quality to this, and I don't. Poppy's the wrong word. Basically, in England, a lot of the songs that are played on mainstream radio are slower, sadder songs. Piano. You think of Adele, stuff like that. Not that this sounds like Adele, but I'm saying if in a different world, if this artist, if X had been found by a major label and they tried to polish him and tidy him all up, and they got him in the studio with like some producer that's done hits for Adele, Sam Smith, whoever the hell else, this song with the same melody and even the same lyrics would be so polished and have all the edges taken off it, maybe some beat put behind it, and it just wouldn't be what it is. I mean, there's so many songs, I'm sure, that artists have created them and they're pure and raw, and then by the time we hear them on the radio, they're so sanded off, they're so saccharine that they lose everything that they are. Like, this is going to sound crazy, there's that artist Shawn Mendes, right? Pop artist, whatever, I'm sure he's fine, he's not really my cup of tea. I heard his song, it's called In My Blood. I heard him do an acoustic version of that on the radio. I was just driving in my car, and it's a song about him not wanting to kill himself because he doesn't believe that him as a human being, it's in his blood to do that. He feels like he's too much of a fighter to do that. Fuck. I mean, that's a fucking powerful song, especially for a guy who's basically like a teeny throb, heartthrob, whatever. And then I've heard that song again, as it actually sounds with the proper production and everything, and you would never have got that out of that song. Which is crazy, because he obviously wrote, I mean, he must have been really fucked up to write that song. And I can't believe I'm talking about Shawn Mendes now, but that's my point. This song, Orlando, if it had been got hold of by that same type of person, would have had everything taken out of it.
Can't keep love at all. Can't keep love at all.
So I tell you what, man, sometimes all you need is 3 chords and a harp. Sometimes that is all you need. That song was fucking amazing. And here we are. The last song, Ayala outro. No, the classic pop 4 chords. Never ever doesn't sound good. It's impossible for this to not sound good. Yeah, lovely way to finish the project. Wow, guys. Oh, that was an amazing experience. Thank you very much for watching the whole thing. Wow, 17 by XXXTentacion. An amazing, varied... It didn't feel short because we've been talking for so long. But obviously a very short piece. But I think you wouldn't even really call it a hip-hop album, would you? There's a bit of rapping on it, but... It's sort of like a soft, melodic, haunting rock album in some ways. But pigeonholing it, I don't really like genres anyway. I'm all about no genre. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Please let me know down here where I should go next. I'm going to try and do one album reaction every single week. And I'm going to get better at figuring out how to do them. Please do subscribe to the channel. I do want to grow it. There are a couple of little figures in my mind, little key milestones that I've been looking to get to, that obviously we've long smashed on Rock Reacts, but just little personal ones, just on my channel, which when I cross them, I will feel, I'll feel validated. I ain't gonna lie, I'll feel validated. We're close to them already. But I would love to grow this channel as well. Like I said, it's going to be a weekly full project reaction. And then, if you've seen Fantano's channel, I'm basically just going to rip what he does off. I'm not talking about the Needle Drop reviews. I'm talking about his other channel. We'll just talk about things, talk about what's happening in music, little points, maybe do some Twitter Q&A, stuff like that. And then I'm just going to experiment with this channel, man. I feel like I can be a little bit looser and freer on this. Not that we're restricted on Rock Reacts, but Rock Reacts is growing, it's doing well, it's doing its own thing. I want this to do well, but I also want to just be free and have some fun. But long story short, make sure you subscribe, because you will be getting a full album reaction every single week, plus other videos throughout the week. Okay, so I've been John Denton. If you've watched this far, thank you very, very, very much. Please do leave a comment, leave a like, leave a share. Do you have any idea how important the shares are on social media? That's crazy, because views that come from an external source, here's a little trick for you about YouTube. Views that come from an external source, be it Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, whatever, count more algorithmically than views just from YouTube. Okay, so that's just something to bear in mind. If you're going to watch the video anyway, if you click through from my tweet as opposed to just on YouTube, it actually counts more weight. But anyway, any view, any like, any share, any comment, anything like that is hugely appreciated. Make sure you follow me as well on social media. It's up in one of these corners. Come and have a chat. I'm always up for chatting music, chat anything on there. It's much better place to chat than anywhere else. And gosh, I'll stop talking, man. That album's kind of blown me away. Let me know your thoughts, man. I'll catch you on the next one, alright? Peace!